Jackson passed away back in 2009, but he is still regarded as one of the most iconic stars in music history. Yet recently, another member of his family has started to garner public attention: his nephew, Jafar Jackson. Not only does he look remarkably like his famous uncle, but he'll actually be playing Michael in an upcoming movie. Years in the spotlight. For over 6 decades now, the Jackson family has been in the public spotlight. Alongside his siblings, Michael was part of the band that eventually transformed into the Jackson 5 in the 1960s, enjoying tremendous success. Of course, he then went on to reach incredible new heights as a solo performer, but one of his brothers didn't do too badly either. Jermaine's solo success. Yes, Jermaine Jackson also carved out a pretty good career for himself as a solo artist. That journey began back in 1972 and led to some exciting times. For instance, Jermaine's album Let's Get Serious, which dropped in 1980, bagged a nomination at the Grammy Awards. Plus, tracks such as Feel the Fire, Dynamite, Do What You Do, and Daddy's Home were well received too. A romance that raised eyebrows. But Jermaine's life took an intriguing turn in the 1990s. In 1993, he and his partner Margaret Maldonado called time on their romance. Then, a couple of years later, the singer tied the knot with Alejandra Oaziaza, who had previously been in a relationship with his sibling Randy Jackson. They'd had 2 kids during their time together. The birth of Jafar. Off the back of their wedding, Jermaine and Alejandro then had some exciting news to share. They were expecting their first child. On July 25, 1996, the happy couple welcomed the arrival of their baby son Jafar. Would the latest addition to the Jackson clan follow in their famous footsteps, though? Jafar's early childhood. Well, unlike his iconic uncle and his other relatives, Jafar didn't take to the stage during his early childhood. Maybe singing wasn't his thing, yet something changed when the youngster turned 12. At that point, Jermaine's son started to show a real interest in music, as well as the art of dance. Just like that, he was up and running. Staggering vocal range. Jafar has since tested his vocal range by covering the likes of Marvin Gaye and Sam Cooke, while also singing songs he's penned himself. Still, it's crazy to think that his uncle Michael was already a huge star by that age as a kid. Yep, his major breakthrough had come when he was just 11 years old, following the release of Diana Ross Presents The Jackson 5. Hit after hit. Not long after that record came out, Michael and his brothers had their first #1 hit with the classic song I Want You Back Then. A little while later, other famous tracks, such as I'll Be There ABC and The Love You Save, dropped as well. It was an incredible run by anyone's standards, let alone a child-fronted band. In his uncle's shadow. Of course, no one expected Jafar to reach those same heights once his interest in music had emerged as a youngster. That would have been an unrealistic yardstick, but he continued to find his voice throughout his teenage years. And in June 2019 came a very exciting moment as Jafar took the next big step on his own musical journey. Got Me Singing. Yes, Jafar dropped his debut track. Titled Got Me Singing. He also recorded a music video for the song, which was released via his official YouTube channel, and it's a catchy effort. As soon as the first lyrics are uttered, you can't help but compare his voice to Michael's. They both sound extremely similar. The comparisons don't end there either. Smooth moves. As the music video progresses, Jafar showcases some impressive dance moves that are reminiscent of his famous uncle. Too, it's eye-catching stuff. So his talents were clear for all to see, with the song hitting the top of the radio charts in Chile in September 2019. Not bad for a first release. So surreal. And the videos posted some notable numbers on YouTube as well. Since its release, Got Me Singing has registered over 8.7 million views and more than 212,000 likes. It's also generated in excess of 12,000 comments, with many users highlighting the similarities between Jafar and Michael. One even said, "Michael Jackson lives. His nephew sounds exactly like him. It's so surreal." Some way to go. While Jafar's career had lifted off in his early 20s, though, he had some way to go before he could catch his uncle. Michael's first solo album was released when he was 13 years old in 1971. It's called Got to Be There. Then, the rising star dropped another 3 LPs before he turned 20 ahead of Off the Wall's debut in 1979, becoming a superstar. Michael's career went into overdrive thanks to that album. He won his very first Grammy Award for the song Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. The follow-up record followed 3 years later, in 1982. Thriller cemented his place as a titan in the world of music, and the numbers surrounding that record are simply mind-boggling. An all-time great, 7 of Thriller's songs made it into the top 10 singles chart, while the album itself sat at number 1 for more than 8 months. It refused to budge. Today, it still holds the title as the best-selling record of all time. Oh, and Michael also took home 8 Grammy Awards following his work on it, a record haul. A 24-year-old Thriller. But this fact arguably makes it even more amazing. We can't forget that Michael was only 24 when Thriller first came out. He'd hoovered up all those incredible accolades at an age where a lot of artists are just getting started. And that includes his nephew. If Jafar can match even a fraction of his uncle's success with that album, he'll have done very well for himself. The spitting image. One thing is for sure, though the comparisons between Jafar and Michael are unlikely to slow down just yet. Why? Well, in addition to his voice and the dance moves, people have also picked up on just how similar Jermaine's son looks to the king of pop, specifically when the latter was in his mid-20s. They have an unmistakable resemblance to each other. Man in the mirror. It's like looking at Michael's doppelganger. And that feeling's only strengthened when you see Jafar in action. Speaking of which, that brings us on to the big news that was announced in January 2023. As we noted earlier, Jafar's career is going to be taking an interesting turn in the coming months, putting a new set of skills to the test. A movie star in the making. Yep, it was revealed that Jafar has been cast as the king of pop in a movie about his life, titled Michael. Antoine Fuqua is set to direct it, while Graham King's on board as the producer. The latter has certainly got experience working on music biopics, as he helped make 2018's Bohemian Rhapsody, which covered the lives of Freddie Mercury and Queen. Jafar's experience. Now, Jafar does have some experience working in front of the cameras. In addition to his music video, Jermaine's son also appeared in an episode of the 2015 reality series The Jacksons' Next Generation. But Michael will mark his big screen acting debut. How did he score such a massive role then? Was it all down to his uncanny resemblance to his famous uncle? Blown away. Well, King went into more detail on that front during an interview with Variety magazine in January 2023. He revealed, "I met Jafar over 2 years ago and was blown away by the way he organically personifies the spirit and personality of Michael. It was something so powerful that even after conducting a worldwide search, it was clear that he's the only person to take on this role." Celebrity supporter. "I'm beyond thrilled that Jafar has come on board to portray his uncle and cannot wait for the world to see him on the big screen," as Michael Jackson King added. Fuqua echoed his producer's words as well, as he also looked ahead to the production. To say that Jafar has the backing of the Training Day director would be something of an understatement. A spiritual connection. "It's incredibly exciting to watch Jafar bring Michael to life," Fuqua told Variety. "There was such a spiritual connection when I first met Jafar, who has a natural ability to emulate Michael and has such a great chemistry with the camera." So physical appearance aside, he and King clearly think they've found their perfect Michael. But how do the family feel about it? The family's reaction? Jafar might be Michael's nephew, but do the other Jackson relatives support the choice to cast him in the role? Well, a couple of important figures from the King of Pop's life did share their thoughts after the news was released in January 2023. Katherine Jackson, Michael's mom, spoke up to Variety. Who better to comment? "Wonderful," Katherine said. "Jafar embodies my son. It's so wonderful to see him carry on the Jackson legacy of entertainers and performers. That's quite the seal of approval. And Michael's son, Prince, had his say on the matter as well." he took to social media to write up a lengthy post about his cousin and what the upcoming movie meant to him, beaming with pride. "Truthfully, I couldn't be happier and prouder for Jafar," Prince wrote on Instagram. "He's been working so hard, and I know he's going to do an amazing job. Just being himself, he embodies so much of my dad, and I'm confident we're all going to do our best to show the world a part of my father they've never seen and that they deserve to see. Going to be great." Prince then added, "This project means so much to me for many reasons. I'm really happy that my family and I can go on this journey together. Jafar, I know you're going to be great, bro, and again I couldn't be prouder and happier for you, Kuz." That warm message has since earned more than 113,000 likes on the social media website. Jafar's response. Yet we're still missing the reaction of one person in particular, Jafar himself. How does Michael's doppelganger nephew feel about the incredible task ahead? Is he in any way nervous? Well, much like Prince, he shared his thoughts on Instagram at the time of the announcement. Mind you, the resulting message was quite a bit shorter. "I'll see you soon." Jafar wrote, "I'm humbled and honored to bring my Uncle Michael's story to life. To all the fans all over the world, I'll see you soon." Alongside the message, he also included a picture of himself in costume, hitting one of Michael's signature poses in front of a mirror. If you only gave it a brief glance, you'd be forgiven for thinking it was an old shot of the icon. A bright future. The film is due to enter production in late 2023 because Fuqua is still working on The Equalizer 3 at the moment, so keeping that in mind, it might be a while until we hear any new music from Jafar. The guy's got a lot on his plate now. Yet with Michael on the way, his future is looking brighter than ever. Jafar's career is far from the only aspect of Jackson's legacy that has caught the attention of the public, though. Inside Jackson's Neverland Ranch. Indeed, one of the most substantial things that Jackson left behind was his sprawling estate Neverland Ranch, and unless you were personally invited in by Jackson, you would never see what was going on in the grounds of the enormous property. After Jackson's passing, however, Neverland was opened up, and there are some revealing photos that show exactly how the eccentric entertainer actually lived. Jackson's paradise. Neverland Ranch was a place that Jackson cherished, a fantasy world where he could live out all his dreams. Perhaps it was a place to recreate the childhood he had never had, or maybe it was a reach for joy in a world of fame and misunderstandings. Personal carnival. There used to be an assortment of animals at the ranch. They're long gone, of course. And while the rides and games were still there at the time of Jackson's death, they had lost all their glory and were left dirty and damaged. In its prime. But when Neverland was in its prime, the fun was infinitely large and endlessly long. Kids had the time of their lives on the ranch, and they included none other than Home Alone star McCorkin. Like Disney. The ranch was almost like a mini Disneyland, in fact, with a lawn similar to Disney's Alice in Wonderland area. A tiny train would take you all around the property when you were too tuckered out from all the fun. Incredible pool. Aside from the rides, there was also a pool featuring 2 diving boards where folks could cool off from the burning California sun. Here MJ could get to interact with his guests on a closer level than when they were running around the amusement park. Deluxe grill. There was even an outdoor grilling area. When visitors got hungry after a long day of swimming, rides, animals, and who knows what else, we bet some burgers would have hit the spot. Shut down. Sadly, after several criminal accusations made against Jackson, the fun was definitely over. Then, following his passing, the gates of Neverland were shut, and they would not be reopened. Under investigation. In 2003, the ranch was raided by investigators following a series of allegations against Jackson. This was not only the beginning of the end of the fun at Neverland, but it was perhaps the beginning of the end for Jackson too. Not growing up. And of course, Neverland was not just the name of the amusement park. It was a moniker given to Jackson's home as well. This came from Peter Pan, a story about a boy who would never grow up. Was this how MJ saw himself as well? Legal limbo. For a long while, though, the ranch sat in legal limbo. Then it was put on sale in 2016, but no buyers came forward. Not for a while anyway. In 2020, the ranch was finally snapped up by Ron Burkle, who apparently is a friend of the Jackson family. Unusual art. What was inside, though? Well, there was a large art piece depicting Jackson himself leading a very long line of children. The sun is out, balloons are bobbing in the air, and everybody looks happy. Lots of toys. But there were certainly a lot of unnerving items also left behind, including tons of toys. Maybe they were collected by Jackson just for his own personal satisfaction. Maybe they were for the kids who once played here. An uncomfortable entrance. And while the accusations made against Jackson weren't proven in a court of law, certain items on the property probably didn't help his case. One doorknob depicts two children kissing, an odd choice for a door decoration. Child statues. Statues of children could also be found around the property. They're playing and look carefree. You can almost imagine the real kids at Neverland doing the same, right next to these works of art. An impressive zoo. There was also a zoo, and it wasn't just a place to pet small animals. Tigers and giraffes lived here, along with alligators, flamingos, and even an elephant. The King of Pop entrusted the final whereabouts of all of his pets to vet Martin Dinners. Sold off. As for the rides, well, they were plucked dry by fairs and traveling attractions. Head over to Coney Island, and you may just see the Dragon Wagon Kids roller coaster that Jackson used to have on his grounds. Just eerie. But what was meant to be a place for children to come and be happy has since been covered in mystery, darkness, and pain. And while Neverland will never be the same again, many of its recovered possessions are making headlines. Child mannequins. When investigators were searching Neverland Ranch, they came across something very strange indeed. Michael Jackson actually collected child mannequins that were posed in strange ways all around the ranch. Life masks. Jackson owned at least 3 exceptionally realistic life masks cast from his own face in movement. The expressions on the masks are exceptionally haunting, but that doesn't affect their value. Insurers estimate each mask to be worth over $600. Life-sized cowboy. In addition to all of his mannequins, Jackson also owned a life-size statue of a young cowboy clutching a teddy bear. A fan bought this strange memento from the estate for over $1,000. Hyperbaric oxygen chamber. Jackson bought this item in the hopes that it would help him live longer. There were even rumors he slept in it, which he denied. He eventually donated this one to a hospital that specialized in the treatment of burns. Moonwalker video game. After the success of Jackson's film Moonwalker, Sega released a Moonwalker game in 1990. Somewhat ironically, the game's storyline follows Jackson as he rescues children from a faceless character named Mr. Big B. Macaulay Culkin painting. Jackson and this one-time child star were very close. In fact, Culkin is the godfather to Jackson's daughter, Paris. Among Jackson's collectibles was a painting done by Culkin at the age of 11, Home Alone autograph. In addition to owning that original painting by the young Macaulay Culkin, Jackson also kept an autographed Home Alone press photo of the actor framed in a secret closet, eventually found by investigators. Robotic head. When an auction house was hired to clear out Neverland Ranch in 2008, it found this massive, fully operational robotic head designed to look just like the former Prince of Pop. Talk about strange. Bubbles the chimp. Jackson was well known for his eccentric behavior, so when he adopted a chimp named Bubbles, almost no one batted an eyelash. Bubbles lives in an animal sanctuary today, where he enjoys painting. Personal throne. Also inside of the secret closet in the heart of Neverland Ranch was this enormous and ornate throne. While it might not be made of actual gold, that doesn't make its appearance any less impressive. Edward Scissorhands.